Long story short, last year I discovered that my wife had been having an affair with my 25 male brother, 31 male. Obviously, I was disgusted. I immediately cut off all contact with him, kicked her out, and filed for divorce. I ended up with the house. She didn't put up much of a fight, at least. No kids, thankfully, and we made almost the exact same income, so no spousal support either way. Still, the hardest, most stressful, and painful thing I've ever been through. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But all in all, it could have been a lot worse. My ex-wife actually moved in with my ex-brother and got ducking pregnant soon after. Gag. The rest of the family knew something was going on, but I waited a month to cool down a bit and get things well underway before I told them the details of the divorce. Those were fun conversations. I told my parents it was up to them how they wanted to handle their relationship with their own son, now that they knew what he'd done. I asked that he or my ex not be present anytime I came to visit. They agreed. We didn't have a lot of savings, and we made the same amount of money like I mentioned before. Add legal fees to that, and I was struggling financially towards the end. But I made it to the home stretch. The next month, I had 2 of my best friends moving in to help with expenses. I just needed to make one more mortgage payment before things got more stable, but I was short about $500. I was pretty desperate, and I hadn't asked them for anything throughout this entire divorce, so I didn't think there'd be an issue. They said, "Well, we actually don't have any to lend you since we just gave them, garbage humans, a lot of money to help them set up for the baby." I probably sat on the other end of the line in silence for half a minute, just stunned. My parents wouldn't lend me money to keep my house because they had given, presumably, more money to help the 2 pieces of trash that destroyed my life. After I had finally processed what I heard, I just hung up, and I haven't spoke to them since. It's been many months now. They send birthday and Christmas cards for whatever reason, but I'm not even considering forgiving them until I get a detailed, objective, groveling apology. My friends have supported me through most of this, but think I've been wrong here. They don't think I should have taken it personally because it was about the baby, not what they did. Am I the idiot? Edit. Parents definitely weren't hurting for money. They're somewhat well off, especially now that they're empty nesters. So they were either brushing me off or actually gave tens of thousands of dollars to them. Not the idiot. Presumably, your parents doled out the money to Broho, you're welcome for that one, before your request came in, so it was not a direct competition for the funds. But to give you nothing, not even a portion of what you asked for, that's hard to swallow. It sounds like you have been hurt a lot and are still hurting. Perhaps in time, you will be able to at least talk to your parents about this whole thing. Then again, maybe not. That's okay too. Personally, I would never forgive my brother for what he did. Your ex-wife could have been a standard issue villain by just cheating in general, but doubled down by picking a member of your family. She also could have had the decency to divorce you first. Hang in there. My husband and I, along with our 2 kids, ages 12 and 6, don't live in the same state as my mother-in-law. He's retired military, so we ended up settling down in his last duty station. This has never been an issue with mother-in-law before. We used to have a great relationship with mother-in-law. Over the years, this cozy relationship has changed. She stopped answering our phone calls and would ignore text messages. During this time, mother-in-law lived closer to her daughter, my sister-in-law. Mother-in-law would go to sister-in-law's home to cook, clean, and spend time with sister-in-law's 2 children, ages 10 and 8. Mother-in-law has been with them for holidays and paid for sister-in-law, her husband, and children to all go to Disneyland together. 2 years ago, mother-in-law finally came to visit us for Christmas. She met our 4-year-old for the first time. During the Christmas visit, mother-in-law would call or receive calls from sister-in-law's children. During one of the calls, mother-in-law said, "Oh, I miss you. I wish I was there with you." Since mother-in-law was sitting in the living room on her cell phone, my eldest daughter heard the entire thing. She felt hurt that even though mother-in-law was visiting us, she wanted to be with her other grandkids. During this visit, mother-in-law floated the idea of a trip to Disney World for us. We would split the cost of the trip equally. The kids were excited. Mother-in-law goes back to her home, and my husband and I think that maybe the relationship is returning to how it used to be. Wrong. Mother-in-law went back to ignoring calls and text messages. Fast forward to this month. I've been pricing tickets and hotels for the Disney World trip and trying to contact mother-in-law to let her know what I found. No answer. She even forgets to call my eldest daughter for her birthday. My daughter is extremely heartbroken. Finally, mother-in-law answers one of my husband's phone calls. Mother-in-law has decided to move in with sister-in-law. She's been living with them for the past few months. Mother-in-law asks to speak with our daughter, and she apologized to my eldest for forgetting about her birthday. She claims that she's been so busy and she forgot. Mother-in-law brings up the Disney World trip, and the other two grandchildren immediately ask to come. My daughter looks at me with a "what the duck" look on her face. Mother-in-law laughs and puts my daughter on the spot, asking if she would like her cousins to come with her. My daughter stutters and replies, "I don't know." Mother-in-law laughs and tells the other children, "We'll see." My daughter was looking forward to this trip with her grandmother, and now she's not so sure. My husband is frustrated with his mom for even bringing this up, since she already took her other grandchildren to Disneyland. She's been around them for the past 7 years and now lives with them. My children barely hear from their grandmother and haven't seen her in 2 years. It is to the point they don't even ask about her. Am I the idiot if I ask my mother-in-law to leave her other grandchildren at home? Not the idiot, but hear me out. I think you should rethink your relationship with your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law is unabashedly playing favorites, and your kids have noticed that. This one trip is not going to magically salvage this relationship. I think it's time you put your kids first and stop chasing for a relationship with mother-in-law. The other grandchildren are not the problem. You have a mother-in-law problem. I've been married for 12 years, and we started trying for kids 2 years in. In the 10 years that we've been trying, I've had 6 miscarriages, 2 stillbirths, and 2 failed surrogacies. Naturally, my husband and I have been pretty devastated by all of this, but try to move through it. My younger sister got married 6 years ago and now has 3 kids with no troubles. I try not to be jealous, and I genuinely love her kids and her, but I'm human, and every time she announced a baby, my heart broke a little more. We can't foster or adopt. My husband has a felony charge from when he was 18. He was stupid, but he turned his life around and is a law-abiding citizen now. We had stopped trying for a while but decided to try one more time this year. It took, and now I'm 5 months along. We didn't tell anyone for fear of losing it, but our doctors and ourselves are incredibly confident that this will be the winning pregnancy. The one person we did tell was my mom. She was planning my dad's 70th birthday bash, and she asked if I wanted to use the party to announce it, since it would make my dad, who adores his grandkids, incredibly happy. I agreed. The day of the party, I'm hiding my belly when my sister and her family come in, and I can just tell looking at her that she's pregnant again. I take her aside and tell her in secrecy that I'm also pregnant. She was happy for me. We danced around. I may have peed a little. I told her we couldn't wait to tell everyone. Couple hours later, the party is in full swing. My husband and I find my mom, and we go to find Dad so we can make the announcement. My sister runs up to my dad and delightfully announces that she's 8 weeks along with her 4th child. My dad was so happy. He adores kids and babies. When the excitement died down a little, he came up to me, Mom, and my husband and said, "Another niece or nephew for you, Jess. Isn't that nice?" I said, "Yeah, it is, especially now that my baby will have someone to play with." My dad was happy, but, and please forgive me, not as happy as he would have been had I been able to make a big announcement. When my sister announced, I felt crushed. I know I'm nothing special, and in the grand scheme of things, who really cares about another pregnant person? But I've got 2 babies in the cemetery and several miscarriages that led up to this, and damn it, I just wanted one moment to celebrate. My sister has had 3 previous moments. I just wanted one. This will probably be the only baby I have. I took my sister aside and explained to her how hurtful it was to have her announce her baby when I've never got to do it before. Basically, she told me to get over it and that the world doesn't revolve around me. I told her to duck off, and we haven't spoken in the week since. I know this is a trivial matter. Am I the idiot for feeling like she stole my thunder and getting upset? Info. When you told her you were pregnant, did you tell her you were planning to announce it at the party? I am sorry for everything you have been through. I can't even imagine how strong you and your husband had to be to get through it. And as someone who has had a stillborn, I know the feeling when everyone around you is having babies. You're happy for them and excited, but there's always that part of you that's sad and devastated. You're not the idiot for being upset. I would like to think that maybe your sister just didn't know you were planning to announce it that day. But trust me, your mom and your dad are probably just as excited for you. My guess is you're thinking that because you're disappointed with how it all went down. Anyway, congratulations. I am a 65-year-old widower with 2 children, a 29-year-old daughter, single, and a 34-year-old son, married with 3 kids. My plan for when I pass was to divide all of my properties equally between the 2 of them, so they will be co-owners. I have been very open with my children about my will. Better to talk about it while I'm still here to explain my decisions, rather than fight about it when I'm long gone. During our many discussions about this, my son has not hidden the fact that he prefers to sell most, if not all, of the properties. Although it hurts me to think he wants to get rid of everything I've worked my whole life for. It's his right, and property management, dealing with tenants, can be tough. Where I draw the line, though, is my house. I did not inherit the house. I worked long and hard to get it. I have lived here for over 40 years, and my wife designed our home from the ground up, so you can understand why I am attached to it. I hoped it would be the one thing of mine that would be kept in the family. But my son keeps bringing up the market value of my house. Right now, it's at around $3 million according to him, and he gets really excited whenever he brings it up. I have told him that I am opposed to the idea of selling my house. He acts like he agrees right now, but what am I going to do about it when I'm 6 feet under? Now I am thinking of leaving my house to my daughter because she loves the house as much as I do and will respect my wish for it to be passed down to my grandkids in the future. My other properties that my son and daughter will inherit have a total market value of around $10 million, so it's not as if I'm leaving my son and his family with nothing. Why I think I may be the idiot is because if I do this, it may damage my children's relationship. They may be close right now, but money does strange things to people, and $3 million is a lot of money. Hell, I've seen families fight over $30,000. I'm hoping I raised my kids well enough to not fight over money, but you can never tell. So will I be the idiot if I risk damaging my children's relationship with each other because I'm being a sentimental old fool over a house? Edit. I am meeting my children this weekend and will bring up the possibility of daughter getting the house and son getting a bigger share if the properties are sold. All of my other properties are commercial and income generating. I will suggest a 60-40 sharing of the rentals until the properties are sold. Not the idiot. Given there is $10 million in other assets, you could split things up so that they still each get 50%, but the house is just given to your daughter. $13 million total, so $3 million house and $3.5 million of the other assets to your daughter, and $6.5 million to your son. The people in my story are my wife's sister and her husband. We all hang out regularly, and hearing them complain about finances is a regular thing. In person and on Facebook, they're constantly seeking pity for how broke they are and refuse to admit that they're capable of making mistakes. The world is out to get them always. They're low income and aren't doing anything to make more money. They've turned down opportunities to make more because the jobs would require too much effort. They've also been sued for refusing to pay bills and loans. They have a 9-year-old daughter who regularly gets the shaft on birthdays and Christmas because, sorry, we're too broke. Here's some cheap crap you don't want, while they splurge on themselves. My wife and I find this behavior disgusting. They recently got their internet shut off due to non-payment and said they can't afford it due to the holidays. I'm confused about that because they didn't buy many gifts for anyone, but whatever. That same night, they had a couple bottles of Crown, which aren't cheap, 2 pizzas that were $20+ a pop, and complained about how their Hulu subscription now costs like $70. On top of Hulu, I know they also have Netflix, HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. None of this is really my business. Normally I'd just cringe, but keep comments to myself. But my sister-in-law has a history of trying to guilt my wife into giving her money when they struggle. She also knows I just got a significant raise on top of a $1,000 bonus, and since we didn't want to give them the money to get their internet turned back on, and didn't want to take them all out to eat the next night, she said, "Y'all really like to watch family struggle, don't you?" This pissed me off. And I told her that maybe they shouldn't be indulging in luxuries such as cable, multiple streaming services, along with expensive liquor and eating out several days a week, and that I could help them with budget. I also said that she shouldn't have turned down that job that paid significantly more than what she makes now just because it required more work and training. She immediately went red and told me to shut the duck up because what they buy is none of our business. She said I'm judgmental, that I should want to help family, that I wouldn't know what it's like because I never had to struggle, and since they work, they deserve to buy what they want. My wife agrees with me 100%. Some people say we should want to help out. Others said it's fine to say no, but I shouldn't have said what I said since it's not my business. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. In a way, it kinda is your business if they're asking you for the money. I'd like to know where my money is going if I was just going to give it away, family or not. Plus, I'd imagine all the pity begging for money gets annoying after seeing their excessive spending habits.